Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I'm going to have a giant disclaimer at the top of today's episode, and that is, this is not another episode about AI, and that's because this is not your typical guest when it comes to talking about AI. I can very comfortably say here publicly on the air that this is probably the most intentional AI thinker, speaker, and visionary that I've come across. I'm so grateful to have interacted with this person before and done some really cool work. He actually came behind the scenes and spoke to our guest community of all of our Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur guests, and that is because I so respect his work and the way that he thinks. So you're all in for a treat today. Let me introduce you to today's incredible guest. His name is Justin Coates. Justin is a passionate leader in AI integration and personal development with a journey that spans the Marine Corps, where, spoiler alert, just casually, he was a helicopter pilot. Just to show you just an ounce of how brilliant today's guest is. He has also been involved in technology and, of course, entrepreneurship. He brings a fresh perspective to how we think about AI, making complex ideas simple and usable for anyone. Justin believes in the power of people, not just technology, to drive real change, and he's dedicated to helping leaders tap into AI's potential while keeping the human element at the forefront. So a lot of those things are probably not typical things that you hear within the context of AI, which is why I'm so excited. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Justin Coates. All right, Justin, I am so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. It's amazing. And what an awesome intro. Thank you. That's so cool.
Heck yeah.
I do have one slight correction. I didn't become a helicopter pilot until after the Marine Corps.
Oh, dang. Well, then, Justin, I would argue that actually makes you even more interesting. Holy cow, I thought that was part of your Marine Corps service. So, one, thank you for your service. Two, wait, that just means that you did even more extraordinary things in consequential order, which is just a great segue. Take us beyond the bio. Who's Justin? How did you start doing all these cool things?
So I guess I could start with the Marine Corps story. I had a dream and goal of being a helicopter pilot. And when I realized that life was really hard and it was actually expensive to become a helicopter pilot, I decided to join the Marine Corps. I also had some life circumstances that I wanted and needed to take care of my family. Had a young family at that time. And one of the driving forces for joining was that they flew amazing helicopters and really big machines. And I figured if I'm going to be a pilot, I might as well know how these things fly and how they work. And so that's what I did for 4.5 years. I took helicopters apart, put them back together, and kept them operational and safe to fly for the Marine pilots that actually flew them. And so after that, I became a helicopter pilot, but actually didn't go make money doing it. I decided to go fly UAVs, drones. These were 9 feet long by 12 foot long wingspans. And I flew those as a government contractor. And shortly after that is when I actually first jumped into my first business. I learned how to sell products on Amazon. And so, going from mechanic to pilot to new era technology, UAVs, controlling them from a computer, to helping businesses sell their products on Amazon. And then now what we do, so we had that business for 4 years and we got acquired in 22, worked with that company for a year, left in 23 and jumped into AI head first. And what we do now is we teach people. We have AI education and then integration and implementation, which is probably a little bit of what we'll talk about today. But the underlying theme in all of this is all of these are extremely complex systems that have multiple pieces, core elements of them that are required to work in tandem with each other in order to get the best result. So, helicopters that don't crash, don't fall out of the sky. For Amazon, that was how do you position your products differently than your competitors that are showing up on the same page. And for AI, you touched on it in the intro, it's how do we not lose the human element while take advantage of this amazing technology that we now have. And so that's kind of the journey.
I love that overview, Justin. I'm so appreciative of you walking us through your journey because it sounds chronological. It sounds linear in nature, but I love the fact that you've taken those common themes and threads across all of those experiences, and one has built upon the next, which is why it sounds that way when you present that backstory to us on a podcast episode. But what I really appreciate, this is something, and you know how much I love and admire your work from the second that we first had a video call together, and it's because I don't hear most people talking about AI integration, Justin. And I feel like you touched the tip of the iceberg with us with regards to your view on AI needs to integrate with the humans. AI needs to integrate with the businesses. But on that macro scale, what does AI integration mean to you? Why is it just you right now? And of course, there are some others, but why are you leading that push? Why is that such an important topic for you?
Well, I've been learning and using and building my business with AI, artificial intelligence, for 2.5 years, really since that ChatGPT moment. And it feels like we've done 5 years worth of work. And so the way that I process that and kind of think through that is if humans don't start using this technology now, and we're already 2.5 years in, chronologically, we're 2.5 years into this AI journey, this new industry that's happening. How far behind are they going to be when they start using it in 6 months, when they feel a little bit more comfortable? And it's an incredible gap that gets created. And I know you've probably seen this firsthand and experienced it in your business. You using artificial intelligence to do your job versus not. And your capability to get 10 times more done using it at a quality that you want your work to be done, right? So you're not losing quality in exchange for speed. You don't have to make that exchange anymore. And so really for us, it's how do we help humans get along this journey a little bit faster while feeling more comfortable about handing off work to an artificial intelligence system, a really smart system that, might know more about their job than they do. So how do we really help the humans along this journey and work with these AI systems? And that's really the foundation that we approach this integration and implementation from is there's a human element here, and humans don't like change. And we're a little bit slower than computer systems. And so how do we kind of bring the two closer together and close that gap to really have a human plus AI driven world?
Yeah, I love the way you phrase that, Justin. What you really make me think of is Reddit. I love scrolling through Reddit. That's one of my guilty pleasures.
The comments are the best.
for sure. And when I scroll through Reddit, I really love any and all AI conversations always revolve around benchmarking. And people are having ChatGPT take, the bar exam and the real estate exam and all these different tests to see how it fares as compared to the average human. And so that's how people are bumping up and measuring the I part of artificial intelligence. They're saying, how intelligent is it? When I hear you talk about these things, though, what I really take away, and probably what excites me the most, is your open recognition that, AI is very smart and we can unleash it in a lot of ways in our businesses. But what I also hear is the importance of the human element into that, in that the two truly play together and bring out the best in each other. For those people who are wondering, is this just going to replace all humans, which I hear that argument all the time, what's that human essential ingredient? What is the value add that we have into this equation?
We have experience, Brian. We have life experience. We have human to human interaction. And, to kind of put a period on that statement is I started this business by creating a digital online course. And yes, I was one of the 2 million people that said, buy my course and I'll teach you how to use ChatGPT. it failed miserably, like on its face. And in that moment, I realized that this journey for humans, this truly has to be human to human, because there's an energy exchange when you're talking to another human in person, when you're having coffee and learning about their journey and where they're at and their perspective and how they're approaching just their daily life. There's truly this human element in all of it. And that's where I realized, okay, it can't just be a digital course. It can't just be a PDF walkthrough or a book that says, here's 1,000 prompts, now you know how to use it. That's not it. And through the last year and a half of training and exposure to individuals just starting out on their journey, or maybe using ChatGPT since it was released, the core element is, if you can explain very precisely your job, your task, how you do it, the experience you need, the perspective you want to have in performing that task or that thing, that sets your work with AI apart from someone else who doesn't embed those core elements into it, who doesn't provide that experience that you alone as an individual human bring to the table. And so it really becomes that piece that your uniqueness that makes you human actually is your superpower when you're using AI. It levels you up because that's your experience, Brian.
Yeah, Justin, I want to give listeners a little bit of behind the scenes, because the first time that you and I ever got on a video call together, a lot of people want to say, oh, look at all these cool things that's happening with AI. I'll never forget, you asked me, you were like, Brian, what are some of the things that you're working on? And I shared a few client projects and a few things happening behind the scenes internally. And you then screen shared and you said, oh, look at the cool way we can build out this context and give it to AI. And it was so cool seeing a lot of different pieces of what you do come into play. The prompting, the inputs, how you craft the outputs in a format that you're really looking for. I really saw the power of the way that you go about that. And so, because I've seen your work in action, I'd love for you to introduce listeners to what niche.ai is. I think that the way you operate, it's cool hearing about the originating building blocks of an online course. I'm so glad you got out of that, Justin. Talk to us about how you implement AI and the way that you operate and serve others now.
The way that we operate now is we have AI education and training, and it's human to human. And, we live in a digital world, so it can be virtual if you want, but a group of people. And then also I do in-person trainings. And what we do with our training is we take you through the basic, intermediate, and advanced usage of ChatGPT or large language models. Sneak peek, we're building our own. So hopefully we can release that soon. But we walk you through just the fundamentals of what is AI, what is a large language model, how do you talk to it, how do you prompt it to get and do exactly what you want. So we walk through that. And then beyond that is where we have a longer term relationship with organizations that understand that this is a journey and they want to take the next step and they want to keep taking that next step and move their business into the future. And for those companies, we really take them down to the foundation and say, how are you built? What are your processes? Let's rebuild with AI tools in the middle of it. And so that's, the structure that we kind of are implementing this year.
I think that's so cool, Justin, because a lot of people would look at your business and probably be like, oh, he works inside of AI all day. But look at that. The majority of your work, so to speak, it feels weird calling it that for you, but the majority of your work is with humans, helping humans solve their real life problems. And I think that that's what makes your approach and your business so very cool. When I think about the nature of the work that you do, you couldn't help yourself, Justin, because you equally like business and you love processes and operations. And so it makes me want to ask you, because I also know that you bring that understanding to the table, is how do you help others decide where and when to apply AI to their business? I would imagine, I feel like duct tape has kind of lost some of its mainstream appeal, but once upon a time, everyone was like, oh, just throw some duct tape on it. And I feel like AI has become the duct tape of 2025, especially. Everyone wants to apply it everywhere, but how do you choose where and when to actually use it?
That's actually a really, really big thing that leaders in your business, whether you're a solopreneur or a CEO of 100 employees or 1,000 employees or more, the thing you really need to understand is, like, what is your knowledge base with AI? Where are you coming at? Are you using it, or are you just thinking it's another software tool that you can purchase and put a team in charge of and say, do this? It's not that kind of technology. And the companies that are starting to use it as, duct tape or as a Band-Aid to fill a gap or make this one thing a little bit more efficient without truly understanding its potential and impact it can have on your business, you're not going to last that long in comparison to a company that maybe takes a little bit slower of a path right now, but is completely deconstructing their processes and then reconstructing them, rebuilding them with AI in the middle. So it really takes a lot of thought. Where are you at in your journey, and how are you leading your people? There's a massive leadership element to all of this. You have to please actually just be a leader, like lead from the front. And then determining where and which department or process you deconstruct first is really dependent on your business. And after you get through the learning phase, your big pie in the sky, if we can automate this process from this point to this point, then we can not have 10 people managing that. Your concept of that big automated thing that's AI in the middle is that changes. The more you learn, the more that will change. And so it really comes down to learn how you use AI, use it all the time, share with your teammates, have them share with you, and then start to plan out where in the business do you want to get your most efficient and productive employees to really go to the next level. These aren't percent increment changes. It's not small incremental changes. These are oftentimes 2 to 5x to 10x gains we're looking for, and it takes time to do that. And so what you're really looking at is which processes take a lot of time, a lot of mental capacity, a lot of energy from your employees, and start to work through those after you go through this learning phase.
Yeah, Justin, I'll confess this to you here while we're on the air together, is that part of why I enjoy hearing you talk about AI is I just know that you work with so many different types of clients, so many different types of business leaders. And so when I hear you talk about AI, I'm viewing it through the lens of, oh, Justin sees AI at all different business sizes. And I think the reason why that excites me the most is because in a lot of cases, when people talk about access to capital, it doesn't get me very excited, Justin, because I'm just like, well, as a smaller entrepreneur, we don't have the same access to capital that Fortune 500 companies, that any company that has IPO'd already has. Whereas when you talk about AI, I think to myself, it's the great equalizer. Anything that a Fortune 500 company can do with AI, I can also do with AI. Talk to us about that landscape of big business versus all the way down to the solopreneur level. Is it the great equalizer? Is it truly an even playing field? Are there ways that us small guys can have a little bit of an advantage in the way we're rolling it out or the way we're thinking about it? I'd love to hear those insights.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, absolutely. It is a, great equalizer. And I think, to be fair to, Fortune 500 or better, or, solopreneur or the 5 or 10 person team, like, right now, a 5 or 10 person team, you're not going after $1 billion contracts. You're like, so the equalizer in that way, you're not just immediately overnight going to get, a giant windfall contract that changes your life, let alone your business. And so that's a lot of what Fortune 500s are targeting, is like those massive deals, but that's the world and environment that they're playing in. But Brian, I'm talking to, VPs, C-suite of 9,000 employee companies, and they're asking the same questions that a solopreneur who's just starting a marketing agency are asking. What is it? How do I use it? How are my people going to use it? How do we need to change our processes? What KPIs should we measure? So how should we measure progress? How should we measure, the actual impact that AI is having? So it really is a moment in history where people who have been a CEO of a Fortune 500 company for 10 years and somebody who is now just becoming an entrepreneur, you're on the same foundation. You're at the same place of what is this technology and how are we actually going to be using it?
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's probably so few times in the course of history. Probably the last time was when the World Wide Web came to mass adoption, that we're all asking ourselves the same question. Back then, I don't know what the equivalent was before Amazon existed, but whatever the big box retailers, or Sears, let's call Sears out. It was probably them at the time. Sears was probably saying, what the heck do we do about the internet? Just like your local pizza place was. And so it is such a cool time to think about that. Justin, I want to put you on the spot here, but I know you're going to take it in stride, so it's not really going to put you on the spot. I've seen some of the very creative and powerful ways that you personally use AI behind the scenes in your own business. So I guess the part where I'm going to put you on the spot here in real time is share with listeners some of those ways that you use it for business, but also, Justin, to show the widespread impacts it can have in our lives. How are you also using it personally as well?
Oh, man. Well, if you want, I can screen share and I'll put you back on the spot and ask you about a business problem you're going through right now, or maybe something you've heard from one of your listeners or other interviewees, and we can
Justin,
go through that process and show it.
Now you're making me sad, though. Screen sharing's the only thing we can't do as podcasters.
There's a button that says screen share right there. Fine. Well, maybe we put a clip in later. Sorry, listeners. So maybe I can describe how to do that. But to answer your second question first, how am I using it? In my personal life, I use it to streamline my shopping. I don't like shopping. And so I ask it for, we build a meal plan as a family. And then we have it, create the shopping list based on the recipe, but then I have it in table format, give me, everything organized by the department of the store, so I can just quickly and easily go in and do my little loop and get out. Another way that I use it is multiple times a week, I work out with this group. It's called F3. It's a men's workout group. Outside, and sometimes I lead the workouts in the morning, and I use this as a tool to help me build workouts and get everybody motivated and just kind of crush us with a really awesome fitness routine. So those are some of the ways that I'm using it personally in my life. The really fun thing is it really can be used for any aspect of what you're doing. My kids and my wife and I are trying to plan a summer trip where we just travel around and check out a bunch of, big areas, big spots, points of interest to hit in the United States. And, so we're having it plan kind of our itinerary, map our plan out, or get us hotels and where we can stop and eat and do all that stuff. And so we're using it as just this planning mechanism, this planning tool, which involves the kids. And what's really cool is because it has so much knowledge and information and it's connected to the internet, it can give you like a little summary of why you would want to stop in this place, or some cool things to check out that you may not know about. And this research would take us hours or days to really figure out. And now we can do it, almost real time. And so that's been a lot of fun. Now down to kind of the brass tacks, if you will, the actual tangible takeaway here for everybody that's watching or listening is when you start to talk to these systems, these large language models, you really have to kind of break down your task. And this is difficult. This has been probably one of the hardest things for humans to do in my training over the last year and a half, is just to describe the job that you're doing, describe the task that you're doing to such a micro degree that you can no longer go any lower. You found the origin point. This is exactly step one. This is exactly step two. This is exactly step three. And if you can do that with your task, and then explain it to ChatGPT or Gemini or soon our niche AI platform, the output you're going to get is going to be 80-90% of exactly what you wanted. And then you have your little human element in there where you edit, refine, you polish that and put your human experience, your human intelligence into it. And if I can just a little bit more, Brian, the prompting methodology that we teach is, you need instruction to this system. What task are you working on? What is the immediate thing that you need done? And describe that. And then the next layer, the next element of this prompt is information. What information should this system know that's directly related to the task you're trying to accomplish? And then there's context, the third element. Is there extra context, extra information about this task that is nice to know, but maybe is not directly required to complete the task? So this would be like if you are running a marketing strategy and you're trying to get a new 90-day strategy. Context would be, what did you do the same time last year and what were the results? And then what did you do the last 90 days so you don't repeat? Right. So that's like extra fun information, but not required to complete the task. And then the last one is end goal. Like, what are you trying to achieve? What's the end result here? Is it part of a longer term strategy or is it just a one-off task? And if you have those four elements, that's information, instruction, context, and end goal. And if you have those four elements inside your prompt the first time, you're going to get a way, way better output than if you just went to it and said, I need a 90-day marketing plan for my business. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, listeners, when Justin talks about these layers and you hear him talking about these four components of his prompts, I've seen his prompts firsthand when we're not podcasting. He has screen shared with me, and literally his prompts are long. They include all of these things on there. He's not just talking about it would be nice for a large language model to have these things. He is baking it into the way he writes these prompts and submits them to the large language model. So if you're wondering why Justin is better than most of us are when it comes to AI's inputs and outputs, it's because of the amount of effort that he's putting into the input. So Justin, it's really cool hearing these things in real time. Quick shout out to F3, because we've had the founder of F3, Tim Whitmire, here on the show in episode 826. He's a near and dear friend of this show, and it's really cool to see how much all of our work really has those downstream effects and impacts, because Justin, I know how much you love F3, and you've got a really cool community out there in Oregon that you all partake in it together. So always cool to hear those insights. Justin, I don't want to let you go just yet, but I knew that time would fly by because the two of us, anytime we get together, we just end up talking about a million things. Before I let you go, though, I want you to switch caps for a second, and I want you to take your AI hat off and put your fellow entrepreneur hat on, because the question I ask at the end of every episode is, what's your best piece of advice? Knowing that we're being listened to by both entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all different stages of their own growth journeys, and knowing that you're not just great at AI, you're also building your business. You're one of us, a fellow entrepreneur. So what's that one piece of advice that you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh man, Brian, this is a big one. I think what's showing up for me a lot lately is decision making. The power in making the right decision at the right time. And as I say that, I understand that knowing what the right decision is and what the right time is so ambiguous and unknown. You don't really know until afterwards, right? Until you can measure the result of that decision. But how that's been showing up for me lately is through alignment. For niche, this is a really big thing for us. Is we're on this not just to start a business, not just to grow a business, not just to make a lot of money. We're in this to usher humanity into this new era. That is our mission, and that's our guiding force and anchor that we make every decision with. And so it's alignment to what our mission is, to what our purpose is. Why are we building this business? Who are we trying to impact? And if we can look at an opportunity that's being presented to us and ask, is this in alignment with the direction we're going with our business? Is this in alignment with the mission that we have and that we're trying to fulfill? And we can say yes, wholeheartedly, no resistance, then we make that decision and we move forward with it. Or if we look at it and say, this would be a great opportunity to make some money, but it doesn't align with our business. It doesn't align with how we move forward. We have to pass on it. And, I've recently done that, and it's hard. I had an offer to make $2,000 real, not quick, but relatively quickly. And I had to pass. It just was not in alignment with our mission and how we want to move forward as a company. And so just being very confident in the decisions that you are making and why you are making those decisions, and have a guiding force of what is alignment for you in that can really help, one, reduce your anxiety with how your business is going because you're moving forward in alignment, but two, really help make the proper decision, the most right decision in the moment. So that'd be my advice right now.
Yes, I love and so deeply appreciate that advice, Justin, especially coming from you, because I think that it is yet another example of just how intentional you are about the way that you view life, the way that you view business, of course, the way that you view AI. I think it's that level of intentionality. You talk about confidence in decision making, but I feel like intentionality also is one of those core ingredients in there, because the confidence only comes when you're that intentional about what your mission is, what your purpose is, and what direction you want to go into. So Justin, I'll reveal one final tidbit of behind the scenes for listeners here today. And that is, when you and I first talked about doing this episode together, and I told you, usually it's a few months between the interview date and your episode airing, you joked and you said, it's really hard in the AI world because things change so fast. So for sure, we're going to have you back on later this year. But in the interim, I'm excited for people to hop onto your website, start seeing all the goodness that you're putting into the world, all the ways that you're serving people. So Justin, drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
Our website, it's niche.ai, neesh.ai. You could check us out, fill out our contact form. You can book a call with me. Please do. Happy to meet other entrepreneurs and business owners. Even if it's just to learn about your journey, it's the human connection it's amazing. It's awesome. Outside of that, LinkedIn, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, message me there. And right now, those are, the best places to connect with us.
Yeah, listeners, you already know the drill. We're making it as easy as possible for you to find those links down below in the show notes, no matter where it is that you're tuning into today's episode. Justin's business website, super easy to remember, niche.ai. You'll see his company name all throughout the show notes, but you can click right on through to niche.ai from the show notes. We're also linking to Justin's personal LinkedIn, so don't be shy. Most people are. You saw Justin is the first ever guest in over 1,100 episodes to want to screen share with me here in real time while we're on the air. He loves doing this stuff and serving others and going deep into the meaningful stuff. So check out the show notes. Otherwise, Justin, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Brian. This is awesome.